That night was my fortress of mundanity. The week's exhaustion had settled on my shoulders, and the wind howling outside, rattling raindrops against the glass, served as a kind of armor, keeping the world at bay. A rerun of a 90s sitcom I'd seen 100 times was playing on the TV. Its familiar laughter was like a lullaby, numbing my brain. My third-floor apartment was my sanctuary. Its triple-locked steel door, the false sense of security its height provided, the chaos outside couldn't get in. Or so I thought. It was past midnight when my phone vibrated on the wooden coffee table, making me jump. No one ever called this late. When I reached for it, the number on the screen made me frown. The area code was unfamiliar. It didn't even look like an area code, just a series of meaningless, repeating digits. I thought about answering, but a baseless anxiety stopped me. I let it ring and ring until it finally fell silent. Just as I was about to turn back to my show with a sigh of relief, the screen lit up again. One new voicemail. That was what turned the anxiety into genuine dread. Telemarketers, scammers, none of them leave a message. After a moment's hesitation, thinking it might be an emergency, I tapped the notification with a trembling finger. First, there was static from the speaker, a whirring sound as if the microphone was in a windy place, and then the sound of panicked, ragged breaths as if someone was suffocating. And then it spoke. My voice. But no, it wasn't exactly my voice. It was like a pianist hitting all the right notes, but with no soul. The timbre was the same, but the terror within it, that primal fear, was alien to everything I knew. Don't open the door. The stranger that was me whispered. There was a rasp in its voice. It looks human, but it's not. Do you understand? Its face is wrong, not symmetrical. The eyes, it paused for a moment, taking a sharp breath as if listening for something. Don't wait for it to knock. It's already inside. The recording cut off right there on the crucial word with a crackle. The phone slipped from my hand and fell onto the rug with a dull thud. I was frozen in place. My mind scrambled for a logical explanation, a prank, a sick joke, a voice cloning app. But my heart, beating as if to break out of my ribcage, left no room for logic. And at that exact moment, there were two calm, confident, patient knocks on my apartment door. Knock. Knock. The sounds hung in the air. Time froze. The desperate whisper of my own voice saying, "It's already inside," echoed in my ears. Whoever was out there was calm, patient. That increased my fear tenfold. Minutes passed, maybe 10, maybe 15. There were no more sounds. With trembling hands, I reached for the peephole, pressing my eye against the cold metal. Nothing. The hallway was empty. The motion sensor light was off, plunging everything into darkness. There was no one there. I gathered my courage and turned all 3 locks, one by one. When I opened the door fully and stuck my head out, the only thing I saw was the worn-out doormat in front of my neighbor's door. I quickly shut and relocked the door. I should have felt relieved, but the opposite happened. The horror transformed from a tangible target into an abstract presence. It wasn't a threat. It was a warning. The next day, I tried to convince myself it was just a tasteless joke. While looking at my tired reflection in the bathroom mirror, I caught a glimpse of the shower curtain behind me, parting slightly. When I spun around, the curtain was hanging perfectly still. As I was leaving the house, I found my keys, which I always put in a bowl in the entryway, on the kitchen table. Forgetfulness, I thought. Stress. But an email I received at work threw all logical explanations out the window. It was a confirmation for a dentist appointment I had never made from a clinic I had never heard of. Knowing it would be useless to go to the police, my first stop was the clinic itself. The receptionist looked at me with suspicion, but checked the system. Yes, the appointment was made yesterday afternoon, by phone. "That's impossible," I insisted. "I didn't call." As a favor, the woman shrugged and pulled up the call log. She turned the screen towards me. "This is the calling number, sir." My own phone number was on the screen. In that moment, I felt the ground give way beneath my feet. This was an assault on my reality. And from that day on, the ghost grew bolder. At first, it was small things like the sofa in the living room being moved an inch or two, or the books on my shelf being rearranged. One night, I came home from work to find a childhood photo of mine on my pillow. The faces of my mother and father in the picture had been deeply scratched out with a key. I started hearing whispers in the other room when I was home alone, whispers that sounded like my own voice. My reflections began to betray me. While shaving, my reflection continued to smile when I had stopped. I got an insulting text sent from my phone to my boss. An email was sent to my best friend, revealing a secret he had told me in confidence years ago. People started to pull away from me. The thing was isolating me, not just in my home, but in the world. It was meticulously emptying my life before it took my place. Eventually, I gave up. I hadn't slept for a week. I wasn't eating. I just sat and waited. I knew I couldn't get rid of it. The war was over. I had lost. That night was just like the one where it all began. I was sitting on my couch in the darkness. My phone screen lit up. I picked it up and saw it dialing a number on its own, an unfamiliar one. I put the call on speaker. It rang and went to voicemail. And then I heard my own mouth speak with a calm, cold voice that was no longer mine. Don't open the door. It looks human, but it's not." I wasn't leaving the message. The thing possessing my body was. At that moment, I felt the last bastion of my mind fall. My body, like a puppet, stood up. My own legs carried me to the door. My own hands unlocked the 3 locks that once protected me. When the door swung open, it was standing there. A humanoid shadow, flickering like static, with a disturbing void where its face should have been. It didn't need to come in. The thing in my body took a step forward, and my consciousness, my soul, whatever was left of me, was pushed out of my body and into the cold hallway. A moment of dizziness, a moment of nothingness, and then I became aware of my new form. I had no weight. I was a ghost, an echo. The entity that had taken my body looked at me with its non-face, then stepped inside and calmly closed the door. I heard all 3 locks turn. I was alone in the hallway, helpless, and a new irresistible urge I did not recognize rose within me. I slowly drifted towards the neighboring apartment's door. I raised a limb that wasn't quite a hand, and I knocked. Knock.